Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Come on in. We're just getting started. We're just doing a little jingle, a little jazzle, a little jazz hands before we get the party started. A little Bojangles. Look at you all here. Look, I see Laura. Good to see you. I see Laura here. I see Spectral Cord. Thank you so much, Laura, for the super chat. Says the OC is down. What is the OC? I think I'm having a brain fart. Anyways, the OC is down. iPhone isn't letting me change your payment method, so my membership IP will update, been hacked, ED, and I'm assuming this is like technical issues, and I'm sorry that's happening. Renaissance Fairy, good to see you. Come on in, come on in. Typo, sorry. That's okay. I get the gist of the message, though, of what you're saying. You're having some issues. Like, no worries. Like, take it ease. Take it ease. That's going to be, like, primarily the message of today. Which is going to be very difficult. So, my friends, we're just going to wait a little bit longer for people to get in. What a crazy week. That's putting it very fucking mildly, isn't it? What a crazy week. Let's just catch up. So, I'm only going to be live for maybe about 45 minutes to an hour. And the whole goal of today's stream is to check in with you. Check in with my lovely, beautiful viewers. Everybody that comes to my streams every week, I want to check in with you. Safe space. Okay, you don't have to worry about trolls. If somebody wants to troll, like randomly, they're going to have to subscribe to my channel for more than a day. So if they subscribe now to try to say something trollish, they're going to have to wait a day, in which I'm not even live streaming till next week. So by then they'll forget. So it's going to be a pretty safe space, which I want it to be so, because this stream is for you all. Me too. We're just going to like check in with each other, see where we're at, have some discussion. Yeah, just like, let's just process what's happening. So how is everybody doing? And feel free to be honest if you're feeling upset, scared, confused, perplexed. Perplexed is a good one. Perplexed, I like that word because it's not only confused, it's worried too. It's confused and worried at the same time. You can turn the music down a lot lower. Confusing. Spectral Cord says concerned. Renaissance Fairy is lurking. Laura says, really, catching our breath and taking it easy is a great idea. People running around all panicky, and I just want some peace. So, yeah, I mean, I am not one to shy away from political discussion. And I'm not saying we can't talk about the politics. That's not what I mean. It's just what I mean specifically is tonight, I don't have an agenda where I'm going to pull up specific, like, articles or speeches or really take you through, like, what's going on, because you all know what's going on. We all know what's going on. So I'm like, let's just take a minute, get ourselves coordinated. First and foremost, as a Neogenian, I'm not happy with the results, obviously. I wouldn't have been happy with the results the other way, too. I'm just not happy with the options. Okay, nothing is working for me. But it's kind of going the worst way ever. And now we're stuck into this weird dystopian world where there's going to be, like, us and what seems like us against the world. It's going to feel very isolated. But, you know, I've done a lot of thinking of, like, how to process this situation. And I am not a medical professional, but I think I have an idea or two. As far as me personally, I am so profoundly aware of what the future potential has as far as, like, things concerning basic rights, you know, thinking about humanity as a whole, things like that, my place in this country. I have a lot of worry. Not surprised per se, because I do have a political understanding of why we are here right now, which is honestly the beginning of something really fucked up. So I'm not surprised. It's just that I have a lot of hope. And I've been struggling with the idea of the amount of hope I have. Because on the one hand, I'm like, with the amount of hope I have, either I'm a very wise man, or I'm a very foolish man right now with the amount of hope I have. But I have an extreme amount of hope. And the first thing I'm telling myself personally is to not freak out. I mean, I definitely freaked out. I'm not going to go into that description. I had my moment, okay? I had the moment. And it was very ugly, and my eyeballs still hurt. But my throat still hurts. But now I personally am in, like, planning mode. And, like, because there's something to me personally that feels very familiar. And I think it comes from growing up in a really religiously, like, oppressive family life, where I didn't feel like I had any rights over myself growing up in that environment. So I almost feel like that was the training grounds, and this is like the adult stuff. So as fucked up as it is, and you know, here's something I'll tell you personally. I've never been one to say that I'm glad for my traumatic experience that I faced in my life at all. Like, really at all. I don't like that. I don't believe you have to say that. And it's true. I don't think you have to say you love your traumatic experience. Not necessarily love, but recognize them as, like, good lessons. You don't have to think your traumatic experiences have given you good lessons. They could just be fucking traumatic. But at this point in my life, I'm kind of seeing a parallel with what I've been through and how it feels and how I'm feeling now in this circumstances and the political circumstances now. And it's very similar. That very repressed, like, somebody else is telling me what to do, and it's gonna get worse. How am I gonna protect myself? Like, I'm thinking I'm rather grateful I went through that. As weird, and that's very odd for me. Like, I'm kind of glad I had this experiences I've had, because in some way, in some fucked up way, my brain knows what to do. It's like, all right, Number one, after you've had your moment, and this is for me, by the way, this isn't me telling you what you should be doing by any means. But for me, personally, I'm just like, all right, you had your moment. You know what to do. These moments will come back. That's fine. But, like, you know what to do. Got to get organized. First, stay calm. That is the number one. Because I'll tell you what, I've been through a lot of, like, crazy shit going on in my life where I've learned through time and aging that it really makes no difference if I'm crying, screaming. I mean, if I feel the urge to do that, by all means. But it's just, like, it doesn't make any difference whether I'm sitting calmly and collectively and crying and screaming and shitting and pissing all at the same time. But again, this is my experience. This is what I'm thinking about myself. I'm not saying that this is what you have to do. This is how you have to think, because I think this is going to affect everybody in different ways. And I think it's going to take a unique personal approach to dealing with this and processing this for each and everybody. So what kind of thought process and emotional process for me isn't necessarily right for everybody across the board. But I will say one thing is most important right now is taking care of yourself. If you're feeling despair, you know, don't let this overcome you so much that you neglect your self-care. That's definitely if you can't do anything else right now, please take care of yourself. You know, that is the biggest thing. And, you know, there's some other things I think is important now, at least for me. We'll get into those, but we're going to check back in. Hello, Mark. Checking back in with the chat. How's it going, Mark? Mark is one of our lovely moderators. Thank you so much for coming. We're just hanging out for a minute. Like I said, I'm only going to be on for like maybe 45 minutes to an hour. We're just checking in with each other. I don't have an agenda. I'm not going to bombard you with articles and like videos of speeches and stuff because we all know what the fuck is going on. I'm just like opening up the area for us to just take a breath. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're feeling. Are you scared? Are you hurt? Are you feeling valiant? Are you feeling like it's time for action? Like, are you angry? Like, you know, like what's going on? If you want. This is just, like I said, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a therapist. I'm just like, you know, I'm a streamer. You all come to me and enjoy the live streams with me. I like to talk about political issues, but it's so saturated right now, the political environment, that I think we need to just take a little bit of a break and like process things for a bit. See, look here, I got Loppy. Loppy's with us. Loppy, the rational support unicorn. He can soak up all the chaotic energy, just soak it all up and fart it out in rainbows. It's great. You should get yourself a rational support animal. Let's see. Bridget Bell, good to see you. Bridget says, I'm scared because I'm on SSI, food stamps, Medicaid, Section 8, and BVR is paying for my college. Will I lose this? Will I lose my government disability scholarship? That's a really good question, and that's a legitimate fear. And I personally don't have the answer to that. I don't know what to tell you other than you're not alone. And I don't mean that in the sense of like dismissing like how you're feeling, like as in like, you know, it's like, well, everybody else feels the same way. It's like, no, like it's in a very like supportive way, like you were not alone. I'm also concerned. I just started going back to college. And now I'm concerned because I actually do get a lot of federal aid to pay for my tuition. And I'm concerned after this semester that might not be available anymore. And I might have to like think about something else. But we don't know right now the policies and the processes that will be put into place if that goes away. We don't know right now. And there might be a cutoff point. I was actually thinking to myself, I'm like, perhaps there would be a cutoff point. Like, for example, my community college offers free tuition for the first 2 years, and that's what I'm banking on to help me get ahead in my education. I'm wondering if it would just come to a point where it's like they'll pay for whoever's actually initiated in the program, and people there beforehand or afterwards, I mean, will not have that program available to them, which would really suck. I guess in some ways it would suck if that federal aid got taken away from me. It wouldn't be the first time I got shafted by the education system, because when Bush enacted the 2001 No Child Left Behind, that single-handedly destroyed my ability and my potential to graduate from high school, because the curriculum completely changed from actually interacting with students and teaching students to, we just got to get you through this standardized testing. And it was just standardized tests, like bubble tests, like bubble filling out, like standardized tests, bubbles, 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 bubbles. And that, by the time I was going to enter my last year, I was like, I had enough. I don't care. Dropping out. And I did. I dropped out because I just could not stand that standardized test bullshit. So No Child Left Behind my ass. Thanks, Bush. Luckily, at this point, I like a few years after that, I obtained my GED, and now I'm back in college, which is great. But, you know, I would like to continue my education, please. But anyways, Bridget, you are very valid in your concerns about what's going to happen with your medical care, your educational aid, like all of that. Like, this is, you know, it's going to affect everybody in different ways. Why did my nail break? What the fuck? I'm like missing a chunk of my nail. It's all jagged and shit. That's annoying. Whatever. Laura says, I'm feeling pissed off and disappointed with the stupidity. And like, I want to go out and change the world, but it's easier said than done. That is perfectly encaptured what I think, like, there should be like a singular word to describe that whole set of feelings. Like, especially like a term for like Neogenians to like, you know, it's like, I'm pissed off and disappointed at stupidity, and I want to go out and change the world, but it's not as easy as snapping your fingers. That should be like a one-word feeling. Like, it should feel like, how are you feeling? I'm feeling schmoofily. Like, no, not that. It's something, you know? It's like, I'm feeling schmoofily. Schmoofily? What do you mean? Well, I'm feeling pissed off, disappointed with stupidity, and like, I want to go out and change the world, but it's easier said than done. Schmoofily. I don't know if it should be schmoofily. That just came to my mind. I'm feeling schmoofily, okay? Schmoofily. My fingernail's all jagged now. Great. I gotta clip it. I'll be right back. Hold on. Anyways. Schmoofily. I think we're all feeling a little bit schmoofily. Truthfully, schmoofily. Mark says, the hope we have is that Trump is lazy and incompetent, and even if he were organized and motivated to accomplish all the hateful things he spews, he couldn't do it all overnight. That is some, because I have I've thought about this pretty hard. I was thinking, like, how realistically fast would things change? Probably not very fast. Not as fast as you think they would. Like, it's not like the moment, like, Trump's enacted, like, or Trump takes over. It's like the world's, like, immediately, like, nuclear weapons are going off. Like, it's not going to be like this. However, I don't know how to describe where my thought process is going right now. I guess I have this image of like being in high school, learning about World War II, learning about like the Nazi movement, seeing when you read about like how like World War II and how the Nazi movement like formed. Like you're reading it in a few paragraphs or a few pages or a few chapters or even within a whole book, right? Like you're reading that information, but it takes like a minute amount of your time. But you don't think about the fact that when people lived through those changes in the political system, it wasn't like, yeah, I mean, like, after a couple of decades, you could look back and be like, gee, that fucking changed really fast. Like, things weren't the same as they are now, as when they were when I was in my 20s. Like, I don't think it's going to be, like, so fast. I think this is just kind of like the point where you realize, like, history doesn't move as fast as it does when you read about it in a book. And I hope that's not meant to solve everything, but I hope that brings you a little bit of comfort knowing like it's not going to be like overnight you're like you hear a knock at your door and there's like army people or like National Guard people like knocking at your door and like or random men like grabbing you and like throwing you into a van and taking you to like a re-education camp for Christo-fascism. Like it's not going to be quite like that, but it just as well be when you're feeling it inside. It's like it just as well be like that, and in some cases it might be. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. Every time I see something really horrible and I imagine something even more horrible, I think like, oh, that can't possibly happen. That's just shit you see in movies. But it's like, sometimes that shit fucking happens, you know? I think that's one thing that's important too, for me personally, and I'm not saying that you all should have to do this, but for in this situation, this is a call for me to be educated, because I don't want to be caught off guard. I want to see it coming. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be prepared. If a policy changes and it affects my personal rights, I want to see it coming. That doesn't mean I'm going to obsess over every single piece of media article and video and everything and whatever to the point where I'm like shit pissing and crying all over the place. I mean, obviously I'm going to take my breaks and stuff, but like, I want to see it coming. I want to stay educated and I want to stay active. Education, number one for me in this time of trouble and this time of despair, is education, is stay in school. That sounds so cheesy and cliche, but to me personally, I'm like, stay in school, stay in school, stay in school. Hi, Elise. Hello, darling. Let's see. Hello, Odell. Good to see you. Yes, and hello, Joanna. So we're just having a little bit of a catch-up and discussion board tonight. Um, and just kind of checking in with each. I don't know about this song. This one is like a little too much. Bridget says education is getting through this too. Well, I'll tell you what. There's actually some legitimate logic to when you're feeling like something's very traumatic and very chaotic. Education is the counter to that. And quite physically, like inside your brain, when you are scared and you are terrified, your brain recedes back down to that, like, reptilian, like, basic things. And it just, like, it cuts off, like, development in the other parts of your brain that you need for rationalizing and things. And so the way to counter that is to learn. You learn about the situation you're in. Like you expand your knowledge, and that kind of like exercising with a dumbbell, like a certain muscle like in your arm, how you can like isolate like your bicep from your tricep. It's like that. You can isolate those rational thinking parts of your brain and you can exercise those. And when you do that, when your brain gets into points of like where it's feeling traumatized, instead of shutting down, and this is the key, and this is what's so hard, and I struggle with this every day, and it's not perfect. It's not perfect, okay? But this is something that helps me get through moments of trauma, is understanding that your brain wants to shut down to those basic reptilian feelings. And you have the ability to start flexing and exercising those thinky parts, those rational parts, those learning parts. And that's where you start to problem solve instead of shutting down, which you can for a minute. Fine, have a moment of shutdown. That's not what I'm saying. It's not like if you shut down for a minute, you failed, you know, but it's like, it's getting your brain to go that other direction, to problem solve, to figure the situation out. Like, don't get discouraged. Like, problem solve. Do what you can do, you know? And that will physically exercise that part of your brain so the next time you get into a traumatic situation, it gets a little bit better, When I keep going through this in my life, the way I deal with my complex post-traumatic stress disorder is every time I get into a situation where I feel so overwhelmed, so stressed out, and even in this case this week, I'm gonna be honest, is traumatizing. Like, I can't believe the world is so fucking stupid. Like, I'm so traumatized. I've never cried harder about my fear of stupid people than I have like of a fear of anything else. Like, if you want to talk about fear, the fear of stupid people is real, and I cried so fucking hard about that for a minute. Like, I had my shutdown moment, but now I'm just like, education is so important, and this really solidifies why. Okay, a lot of the reason, things went the way they did in this election is because not a lot of people are informed. In fact, you'd be astonished at the percentage of people that didn't even know Biden dropped out. Regular Joe Schmo people that are not on the internet, are not a part of that culture, they have no idea what's going on. Like, they maybe read a newspaper article. Like, there's a lot of people out there in America like that. They don't know what's fucking going on. They don't know anything about Kamala. And unfortunately, in my opinion, Kamala and the Democratic Party did not do enough work to get out there, nor did they really have enough time, in all fairness, because if you look at Trump, he's been campaigning for quite a long fucking time. He's very familiar, you know? But on that note, when we're talking about the whys, like who did what where and who didn't do enough work and who did too much work, who did too much, who didn't do enough, like, we're definitely in this position right now as people to start finger pointing. You did this. You voted that way. It was the third party voters. It was this community. It was the black men community. It was the Latina community. It was the trans community. It was this community. It was that community. You didn't do enough. You did too much. You didn't say this at the right time. There is so much fucking like room to finger point because we are all so fucking pissed and powerless and scared, shit pissing and crying. Like, you gotta step back and just like breathe and realize that we're all gonna get fucked. Regardless of whose fault we think it is. We're just simply like trying to yell at the person who's first in line to get fucked. Okay. It's not going to help. I think the biggest thing, the most important thing we can do right now is not point the fingers at each other and focus. Stay calm, collected, stay educated, take care of yourselves. Focus on the issue, okay? Focus. Where is my vape? Bitch. So, I mean, I don't, we can like chit chat about like some things, theories we have, or what we think and stuff like that for sure about like the specific nitty gritty of the politics. But mostly, like I said, I just want to check in with y'all for a while. We're gonna be going live for, let's see, we've been going live for 25 minutes ish. Oh, maybe like 30 minutes. So we'll be live about 20 more minutes and then we'll check out. So who wants to get something off their chest, and like how do you feel? Because I feel like there's going to be two different groups of people right now. There's going to be a group of people who is tired of fighting, who is tired of staying strong, and to you I say take care of yourself. And that is still a form of resistance. It's a form of resistance because whatever powers it be that don't want you to do or say anything or be active, they want you restless, they want you confused. And when you take the time to take care of yourself, get yourself healthy and healthy minded, you know, healthy mind, healthy body, healthy environment, all that. Like, take your time to do that. Take your time for you. Seek professional help when necessary. You know, talk to a friend, talk to a counselor, stay involved in your community. And then if you feel like there's a time where you want to take action, take action. Now, I think there's another group of people who are feeling like this is the time, like, I want to get going. I'm kind of in that department of, like, I don't feel run down. I don't feel tired. Definitely feel it. It's not like, it's not that either group, the group that wants the rest and is tired and is really traumatized right now, and the group that wants to like have the call to action and step up and like do something, like we're all feeling it equally, right? It's just the way we respond to it. So I think the other side, kind of like where I'm at, is like I want to start getting invested. Like I want to start doing something. I want to start making a difference. My thing, I can't tell you what to do, but for me it's like stick to school, stay in education. And I think it's time to start put my shoes on the ground, quite literally. I think there needs to be more physical action for those, especially for those Neogenians who want to take action. Now, I'm not talking about like Neogenian meetups and stuff like that. Sure, those will help. I'm sure those will help, but we are so far spread out, like it's time to act together in solidarity as well. You live in a community, you live in a neighborhood, you live in a city, like you live in a town, like if you want to be one of the people that like takes action, here's what I'm thinking about. Going to city council meetings. Go to your city council meetings. Go to those meetings. Say something. Call like your local mayor, like your leaders, whatever, school boards, whatever it is, whatever topic that's going on that you need to say your piece about. It's time to get active, but do it in a nice, proper way, okay? You know, we don't just go belligerently screaming at people. We go by the book, we go by the policy. Start making your voice heard. You have rights. I'm gonna start going to fucking city council. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm gonna start looking at some local politicians, things like that, getting involved in that route. You can do that too. This is just throwing it out there, okay? Like I said, I'm not like the ultimate, like, this is the plan! Everyone rise! This is Sparta! It kind of feels like that, though. And I think it's going to wax and wane. If you're somebody who wants to take this time to rest and take a break, I think you're going to get to a point where you're going to want to make a plan. You're going to do something. You're going to want to be active. And for people who are wanting to be really active right now, eventually you might get really tired out and it catches up and you want to rest and you want to turn off the TV and you want to go have fun for a minute, or you want to go scream into a pillow. That's perfectly fine. Like, it's going to wax and wane. You're going to feel motivated. Something's going to happen. You're going to feel like it's hopeless. You're going to think it's like there's no hope. You're going to want to die. All this stuff like that. And then if you just ride that moment out, you're going to get to that high again where you're like, I can do something. And in that moment where you can do something, you can be very productive. And you can be very productive in your down times too. As long as you take care of yourself, okay? It's kind of a waxing and waning of take caring the people around you, your community, the collective, and then take caring of yourself as an individual, okay? You got to start figuring out the right times to do that. Anyways, like my live stream. The world's ending. Like my live stream. Yeah, I haven't live streamed for a couple of weeks. Let's see. First week, let's see, I did the Halloween special with the Oculus. That was really fun. And then last week, I had midterm exams, so I skipped. I have like 5 weeks of school left for this semester. At this point, I'm just trying to get through them 5 damn weeks. I don't know what it's going to take, but I just want to pass them damn classes and have my winter break so I can go into a new semester starting January, mid-January. Let's see. Laura says the bottom line is here we are in this moment. Time to focus. Take care. Be strong. Be careful, but not paranoid. Yes. Do not be paranoid. And here's a good thing that we should have a little chat about here, my lovely little followers and my fellow Neogenians, because of the way things are going to be stacked as far as leadership, we're going to see media, news, and media that's shown to you make it look like things are going very well for Trump. It's going to make it seem very seemingly convincingly that it's working, that it is the golden era, that it's all happening. Okay? Keep your head on your shoulders, man. And now's the time, I think, to really look into some... What is this music? Jesus Christ. What in the hootenanny? Okay, well, this is a hootenanny, so I guess we'll deal with that. But anyways, now's the time to maybe check out some independent journalists. Yeah, independent journalists, you have to really put a good head on your shoulders and be rational when choosing an independent journalist. But if you find a good one that stands up for the things that you believe in and that you know to be true, for that to be good for humanity, and they are rock solid, they are not swayed by money, this, that, or the other, they are just right on information. And as Mr. Rogers says, I think Mr. Rogers talked about when he was a child, there's that thing, like, when Mr. Rogers was a child and he saw disasters on television, he was very frightened, and his mother would tell him, look at the people that are helping. That's another thing you should do. Even though Trump won this, you gotta realize the huge ratio of people who voted against him. Okay, he won, but only by a little bit. There is still a huge amount of Americans that are not for this. There's still people out there fighting. They have a strong message for you. They have room for you to lean on their shoulder, okay? Look at the people that are helping. There are people out there that will not go down without a fight. It's going, we're in this together. Don't feel alone. Never feel alone. This hootenanny music. Jesus Christ. This is in my ear. Like, I turned it down for you, but, like, this is in my ear. Yee-hoo! Hootenanny. Elise says, how I feel at the moment, but soon I'll be strong. Yeah. And help each other out. I guess that's just, if I actually did, because I'm not going to tell you what to do. Here's the thing I will tell you to do. Number one, don't turn on your fellow, person, your friend, your fellow Neogenians and stuff like that. Don't start pointing the finger and blaming other people for this happening, because this was a snowball rolling down the mountain for quite some decades, honeys. This is not, what's happening now with the election results is not happening because of what happened in the last, 4 years. This is happening because of what's been happening for the fucking last 50 years, okay? It's been bound to happen. We're fighting with something that's just cosmically historic, more so than what's happening in our short little window of lives. So don't put so much pressure on your fucking shoulders that you feel like you literally have to solve the whole goddamn world by yourself from your bedroom. Don't put that pressure on yourselves, okay? Don't turn on each other. Expect other people to do that shit, okay? Stay cool. Don't turn on each other. And stay educated and informed. Take a break, okay? Take care of yourselves. Drink your water. Go for a walk. Pet the dog. Water the plants. Clean the house. And for God's sakes, clean the goddamn space behind your toilet. All right? It's nasty. That's where the Archons live. And take a nap. I don't know. And eat your greens. I don't know. Like, I don't know why. Hi, Lucifer. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says that's amazing advice. Yeah, that's that's just my advice to you all. I am not the most wisest person ever. Like I said, I have so much hope right now. I'm either a foolish man or a wise man. But all I can say is don't turn on each other, blame each other. Take care of yourself and be active. Honestly, it is time. We don't have to have Neogenian meetups to start putting Neogenian feet on the ground. Go out into your own community. If you're a parent, go to your school board meetings or whatever it is, your school council meetings or whatever. Like, go to your city council meetings. Like, write letters to your mayor, to your governor, to your freaking, like, say something. Make your voice heard. Like, make a video. Put it out in public. Like, join an organization. Ask them what you can do. Most of all, don't feel alone. You are not alone. I'm here, okay, in our community. Elise is here, okay? Elise is scared. We're all scared, okay? all us mods are scared, but, okay, we're gonna get through this together, okay? Elise is here. Mark is here. Susan is here, like Philip is here, Morg is here for us especially, like we're all here as a community. We're in this together. We got this. Hello, Andy. Good to see you. Andy says, I'm excited for the opportunity for people to realize they've been fooled. These people could be normal again. That is such a beautiful, like, almost poetic. It's not quite a poem, but almost a poetic, just like insight. Let's see, I kind of have hope. I feel like this is a call to action. That doesn't mean we're not going to see some shit. Like, are you kidding me? In 2 months from now, or like 3 to 6 months right now, I might be crying on the bathroom floor again for a minute, okay? It happens, okay? I'm not going to lie. I stayed up late Tuesday night, and once the results were secure that Trump is in again, I had a hard, stiff drink of whiskey. And I shot that fucker back. Just... fuck! Like, it was... I get it. So some things that are going to go on in this channel, because I know, like, I like to talk about political things. One thing I'm going to dedicate myself to with this channel and to you as my viewers is that we're not going to constantly fearmonger and look at negative things, okay? We're going to do a lot of proactive stuff. We're going to look at the helpers. We're going to look at organizations that are doing things to help. We're going to look at people who are making positive differences in the world. We're going to do a lot of activism, a lot of things you can do, places like numbers you can call, like petitions you can sign, like suggestions that, go out. If something's going on in a certain town and you're in that town, like go to city council. go to the city council meeting, you know, like we're going to be very proactive going into 2025. Of course, we're going to look at what's going on that's bad, but we're not going to just sit and fear monger all the time, right? We're not going to sit here and go, oh, this is scary. This is scary. Oh, help us. Oh, God. Like, we're going to figure out what to do. We're going to problem solve. We're going to actively exercise instead of letting the reptilian parts of our brain, like, take over and shutting down. We're going to practice problem solving and taking care of ourselves this year. Oh, Laura, that means so much, Jan. Laura says, Jan, you are becoming more of a man all the time. A compliment. Thank you. That really means a lot to me. Like, I'd love to just scoop in like a big old dragon and like protect everybody. But I don't know what's going to happen. Honestly, all I know is I'm going to do my best to be educated, and that's what I want to encourage all of you to do. And if I had children, I would tell them the same thing. When you are scared, learn about what you're scared about, because when you understand it, it's less scary, and you're going to know what to do. No, I'm still non-binary. I'm transmasc, so I'm transmasculine. I do like being referred to in masculine terms, but you can also refer to me in like feminine terms. Like, when somebody calls me a she or a her or something like that, I kind of think of it more of like a sassy drag queen thing, like girl, like. So honestly, I just don't really care, honestly. But when people know and they call me dude or man or whatever, it's like, thanks. I love it. What time is it? It's almost been 50 minutes. Transmask. Yes, I am transmask. Openly, proudly, just as well be. Before it's illegal. Odell says we worry too much about gender. Who? We? Who's we? I don't worry. I'm fine about my gender. It's other people worrying about my gender that's like the problem. I don't sit in my bedroom and go, I'm transmask. My gender. My lordy, my gender. Like, I don't do that. I don't think about that shit until somebody else is like, hey, you're a woman. And I'm like, no. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, no. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, no. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, no. And so on and so forth. Well, I'm gonna sign off here soon. I just wanted to check in with you all, see if you're doing okay, and give you a little bit of a pep talk, okay? There's things we can do. There's always something you can do in times of despair, whether it's taking care of yourself or taking action. That was not flattering at all. I'm sorry. So I hope, if nothing else, I hope I've helped at least one of you tonight feel just a smidge better about moving forward. That's all I want. If I just made one of you feel just a little tiny little bit of hope, that's all I wanted to come on here and do. So I hope there's stuff we can do. I hope you don't feel hopeless. I can't take that feeling away from you, that feeling of hopelessness and despair and like this is really fucked. Like I can't take that away from you. All I can tell you is that I'm here. I know how that feels and I know there's a pathway through it even though you can't see it at the moment. That's good. Laura says, "Thank you, Jan. Good pep talk. You made me feel more positive." Yeah. And you don't have to feel positive either. Like, if you feel very negative, I want to validate that. Feel negative. Fuck. Feel the negative feelings. Make positive actions. Okay, that's the difference. It's the negative actions where the harm happens. It's okay to feel negative. Just make positive actions, positive movements, positive steps. I'm all about a dark night of the soul. Trust me, I have those every other night. those are pretty common, dark night of the soul. Kind of good, especially if you cry really hard. You kind of get a really good sleep. When you finally go to sleep after a dark night of the soul, like that is the best sleep after a hard cry. After a hard, despairing wailing to the mistress of the void. Don't you have a nice sleep? Ugh. Laura says, "You said so many wise things, Jan. We can grow through this, not just go through it." We don't. And you know what? There's a lot of elements of unnecessary suffering in this. Like, trust me, there's huge proportions of the experience we're going to have in the next few years that's going to have a large element of unnecessary suffering. But as Neogenians, where we love to struggle through the thorns and rise up to the stars, like we can take this on. And it doesn't mean we have to be perfect. We don't have to be perfectly valiant and like astute and rational all the time. You can have your moments of chaos and stuff like that. But what separates us from other people is we don't let those moments of despair, chaos, and uncertainty overwhelm us to the point where it makes decisions for us. Negative feelings, sure, have them. Positive actions. All right, my lovelies. Like I said, is a short night. We're already, let's see, almost 55 minutes into the stream. If you just came in, you can go back and start this from scratch. But basically, again, I just wanted to check in with all of you and make sure you're okay. And if you're not okay, I wanted to validate that it's okay not to be okay, because trust me, it's okay not to be okay. But some of us are going to be ready to rise. Some of us want to rest for a minute. We gotta, when the people who are rising up, let the people who are feeling weaker lean on you. Okay? And then when you feel weak, make a relationship where you lean on the stronger people of our community. We can exchange this energy. We can keep pushing each other up. Okay, like if somebody needs a rest hiking up a mountain, two of us can go back and shoulder them. Like, we can do this. We can get through this. We're not going to go down without a good, rational, hearty fight. And not the weird pitchfork fighting like some people expect, okay? That's so unrealistic. We already saw what happened with January 6th. Like, we're not going to grab our pitchforks and, like, demand things change. Like, no. Don't do that. Like, I know we all have those fantasies, but it's not going to work, okay? We got to be strategic. We got to play chess with these people. We got to make the right moves, you know, within the system, like sneakity snakes. We got to know the policies. We got to know the processes. That's what I'm saying. It's time to get educated. Anyways, I'm going to sign off, my lovelies. Just so you know, I'm here. We're going to go live next week. Hang in there. And remember that the media, you know, it's going to be extra taken over, and it's going to make it look like Trump is the best thing ever, and then, like, it's working and all that stuff like that, okay? So be careful with the media, okay? It's going to make you feel shittier than the way things really are. So just be careful. Practice good digital hygiene, okay? Learn to turn it off. Learn to turn on something educational. That'll help, okay? Less doom scrolling, more educational content watching, all right? So take care, all right? I'll see you next week. Hang in there. I'm here for you. I'm here with you. And I am rooting for you. Okay? Don't let these assholes get to you. Don't let these assholes take away your vitality. Don't let them take away your drive to live. Okay? That's yours. That's your business. All right. Okay? I feel like you're my kids. You're not. I don't mean that in a patronizing way, as in like you're little children and I need to tell you. But I just like I feel like nurturing. Like I want to nurture you. I just want to like hug you all and be like tuck you into bed, give you a glass of water, and be like, it's gonna be okay. Get a good night's sleep. We'll deal with this in the morning. All right. Yeah. Right. I know. Jan Dad is reading you a bedtime story, giving you a cookie and a glass of milk. Vegan milk if you're vegan. Oat milk if you're vegan. Get a cookie and a glass of milk, tucking you into bed, all right? Okay, kids. We'll see you next week, all right? Seriously, take care. I love you all, and I'm so grateful for all of you, okay? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be so passionate about the world. Daddy Jan. It doesn't sound right, right? Like, I wanted to say Daddy Jan, but I'm like, no, that's not what I'm trying to convey. Maybe more of like a Papa Jan. Maybe like Papa Jan is more like less sexual and more wholesome. Papa Jan. Papa J. Yes. All right. Okay, well, Papa Jan says get some rest. We'll see you next week. That's funny. You guys crack me up so much. Papa J. Good night, kids. We'll see you in the morning.